WebCT, I didn't think I'd hear that word. Childhood nightmares just come rushing back. For those who don't know, WebCT is where you submit your assignments, if you're at SFU or anything like that. But great to see the man behind WebCT. Okay, so my name is Michael Cheng. I'm the co-founder of a company called Lumen5. We're a video automation platform that turns your written blog post into video contents. We started about January of last year. We're a team of 7, and currently we have about 100,000 users, and I'm here to share with you some of what we've learned. So as a young entrepreneur, you pick up a book like Lean Startup, and what does it say? Listen to your customers. And so we did that, but the lesson here isn't about that, because that would be awfully boring. You should listen to your customers except when you shouldn't. What I want to talk about is how we followed conventional wisdom, went out, listened to our customers, and actually got kind of burned for it. So a couple of startups ago, I was working on a company called Needle HR. It was a hiring platform for creative professionals, think LinkedIn, but for creative directors and designers and whatnot. We pitched to lots of potential customers, we talked to the press, we talked to investors, and everyone loved our idea. Everyone loved this team of young guys that are here to tackle a big vision, and our customers were really excited about what we were trying to build. Everyone identified that LinkedIn kind of sucked for hiring creative professionals, and we were feeling pretty good. Things were looking good. We had pilot customers with Starbucks and Ubisoft, press coverage, Financial Post, Tech Vibes, basically everything you can imagine as signals for, hey, things are going well. But unfortunately, what we very quickly learned is that none of that actually mattered. Yes, we had pilot customers, we had people paying us money. We thought, that's how you assess, that's how you validate an idea. People are paying you money. The press is writing about you. Investors are saying that there's potential here. But what we found out was that nobody was using the product. Nobody was using the platform. Nobody was deriving any value whatsoever from what we built. And that's when we learned that, a lot of people are afraid of putting themselves out there and pitching their ideas because they're afraid of getting shut down. But no, that's not true, especially in Canada. People are really nice. If you tell them about your product, they'll be like, great, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard, take my money. And so we took their money thinking that we had a successful business. And so what we learned from that was that, yes, you should be wary of the naysayers and you should ignore people who try to put you down, but at the same time, you have to be very careful about the people who really love your product. Do they love you for the right reason? Are they the persona, the type of people that you want loving your product? Do their opinions matter? And that's a lesson that we learned very early on, that you have a persona of your ideal customers, and those are the opinions that you should care about. It doesn't matter if your neighbor says your product is great, or if your mother says your product sucks. Those are not your ideal customer. Well, maybe your mother. That one probably matters. So what we learned was you have to listen to your customers except when you shouldn't. There are times when you should, and there are times when you shouldn't, and you really need to think about it before you listen to whether it's customers or the press or investors. And so taking that lesson, we learned that, okay, well, you can't listen to people all the time, so you go and follow the data. Of course, you've heard this before, follow the data, except you can't always follow the data either. Customers can lie, not maliciously, but the data can also be misinterpreted. A lot of times, data doesn't necessarily give you the full picture. So it's hard to just follow the data, and if you blindly follow data, that could be dangerous as well. Prior to Lumen5, we were working on a company called Sniply, which is a content curation platform that helps businesses share links and drive conversions and raise brand awareness, and things were going pretty well. We were hitting about 200,000 users. Our MRR was growing 200% year over year. We had all the signals that the company was going well, and this time it wasn't like Needle HR, where it was just early indications of idea validation. We actually had lots of money coming in. The business has been running for a few years. But we internally as founders just felt like what we were building was not the future. We were looking at what people were doing, and link sharing was the big thing 5 years ago when social media became a big thing. But we believed that people aren't going to be sharing links in 10 years or 20 years, and we were seeing that the internet is being taken over by multimedia formats like GIFs and videos, and we just didn't think that what we were building was well positioned for the future. And we ended up actually pivoting. So the new product that we pivoted to, which is what we're working on now, Lumen5, hit the same MRR in 6 months than what Sniply took in 4 years. And that results in 8 times faster growth as a result of pivoting. And what we learned from that exercise was that sometimes, even though the data tells you to do one thing, ultimately you are the founder, you are the visionary. You have to have an idea for where the company is going, where the industry is going. And sometimes making the right decision means that you have to go against what the data tells you. And in this case, we had been working in the industry for a few years, and we just didn't feel like what we were building was well positioned for the future. It's kind of like what you hear from the doctors. You don't want to change your living style. By the time you're sick, it's too late. If you pivot too late, it could be too late to pivot. And sometimes an early pivot isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you pivot too late, you run out of cash, you're not in a good position to do so. Whereas when we pivoted Snipply, we had lots of money coming in, we had the resources and the team and the morale we needed to work on a new product. So this early pivot, this not following the data, actually resulted in much faster growth than we otherwise would have seen. And so that's really the lesson that I want to bring today, that you're here, you're learning from other founders, but keep in mind that entrepreneurship is an art, it's not a science. There's no one size fits all, there's no blueprints for success, and for every conventional wisdom, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. So when you're kind of listening to what we're sharing today, just keep in mind that even in our own experiences, those things don't always necessarily hold true. It's just a general rule of thumb to follow. Thank you. You can send your resume there because I'm also hiring. We're hiring for all sorts: marketing, sales, developers, senior.
Cities on a shortage of sales people.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like everybody here is hiring, so I don't think anybody's going to be applying.
I'm a lot more fun than any questions on this side of the group before I start my awkward walkover? Okay. Sean, you have any questions? No? You're good? Oh, yeah. No? Good? Good. Melody? I have a question. What's one piece of conventional wisdom that you've been given that you actually listen to, as opposed to the opposite?
Yeah, so we're not venture funded. I've heard, similar to what Marie was saying, that you wait as long as you can until at some point you might not actually need to do so. So we've been running the company for quite a few years now, and the revenue covers everything that we want to do, to a point where if we raise money, it would be kind of, we're seeking the advisors and the mentors and that strategic relationship. And I think that's actually a really good position to be, because when you're on the clock, that can cloud the decisions that you make. A lot of things, what you're trying to do becomes very, very constrained and stressful when you're counting the clock and you only have 30 days left. But having bootstrapped the companies, having generated our own revenues, it also gave us an opportunity to actually build something truly valuable, because it's self-sustaining through customers who pay us to use the products. So that's one thing that I've listened to and have followed through all the way.
Great. Any other questions? Perfect. 1 second. Running.
Hi. So like you said, you keep saying it's an interesting idea, but you don't get users. So how do you deal with that?
Well, could you repeat that question?
You said you said people say it's an interesting idea,
Yeah.
people are really interested, but then no one is using the
Right.
So how do you get on that?
Yeah, so first of all, I think the example I gave, Needle HR, was just a bad idea and a bad execution. So number one, don't build a bad product. And if you do have a good product, I think you do have to combine customer feedback with the actual usage data. So if you follow your customers and you match the data, and then the third aspect of that, going back to the whole persona thing, is you want to have a clear idea of who your ideal customer base is, and those are the people that you want to listen to. And if people don't fit your ideal use case and that you don't see them being your majority of your client base, then it doesn't really matter what they think. To give you an example, we're a video creation platform and businesses use it to create videos, but sometimes we have grandmothers who are making Merry Christmas videos for the grandkids, and they love the platform, and that's great and all, but we can't use that as our business metric. What we care about are businesses deriving value from the videos that they're creating on our platform.
Great question. Any other questions? Oh. Thank you for gracing us with your question.
Thank you.
Two-part question, actually.
Ooh.
How hard was your pivot with with Snipply when you decided to pivot? Like, did you just orphan the technology, or did you sort of milk it for as long as you could? And then when you got to pivot, was it your decision? Did you have other founders? How did you get buy-in from the team to pivot?
Yeah, so kind of talking about it now, the pivot sounds so simple, but I think emotionally it was a very difficult thing. When you're an entrepreneur and you're building a product, especially if you've spent 3 or 4 years on it, your identity kind of becomes intertwined with that product. And so emotionally, I think it was very difficult to pivot. On an operational level, I think it was made very easy by the fact that Snipply was still generating revenue, and so we had money coming in, and so we were just diverting the resources instead of continuing to improve the product we're working on. We started R&D on our new products. Operationally, I think that was okay, and there was actually a few more products and tests in between, short-lived, where we played around with the product, we kind of launched it for a few months, see how it went, before we actually landed on the current idea of Lumen5, the video creation platform. So that's another part that I think really helped in terms of having that money, is that we had the luxury to experiment with multiple ideas, as opposed to, again, being on the clock. And it wasn't my own personal decision. I have 2 other co-founders. One of them is sitting right there. He is also hiring. Yes. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Did it answer both questions? Fantastic.
I love a two-sided question. It's great.
A round of applause. Thank you so much.